What's going on, guys? Chad here with Greenlight Shooting, and welcome back to another video. Today we're talking AR-15s, specifically AR-15 triggers. If you're an AR-15 buff, you know how big of a deal a good trigger is, and let me tell you, I think I've got the best trigger in the game in my hands right now. This is the Blackout Defense Zero trigger. Now, back up a little bit. Blackout Defense hit me up recently. They said, hey, can we send out some of these triggers? So I did, of course, a little bit of research on them, and was absolutely blown away by these guys. So to give you a little bit of background into them, first off, these guys are the real deal. These are not some overseas manufactured thing. These are not some drop shipped thing. These are the real deal. They are manufactured in a 20,000 square foot, top of the food chain engineering and manufacturing factory. These guys started out in the aerospace and defense world. So they were doing contracts for huge, Raytheon, Boeing, Honeywell, like a lot of these big military contracts and things. And then they shifted their focus to AR-15s. And they've been pumping out some of the most high-end stuff I've ever seen. And I could not be more stoked to be on the forefront with these guys. The owner is an MIT engineer as well as a cop, so he really understands both sides. That's something you very, very rarely find. So let's get away from the company a little bit and let's talk about these triggers. What makes these triggers so dope? As I mentioned, this is the Blackout Defense Zero trigger. Now, the zero stands for the fact that there is zero pre-travel and post-travel. Now what that means is on a normal trigger pull, you've got a little bit of movement up until like your wall, right? So you're gonna take up this little bit of slack, the trigger kind of stops, you apply a certain amount of pressure, that trigger breaks the shot, and then the trigger continues for a little bit, and that's your pre, your shot, and your post-travel. These guys have figured out a way to take all of that out, and it's freaking nuts. It's so cool and honestly weird to shoot. So this trigger comes in either a 3-pound or a 4.5-pound trigger pull. Now, it's so weird. It's this beautiful, aesthetically pleasing, just flat trigger. You put your finger on it and it doesn't move. Nothing happens. It's so weird. You apply either 3 pounds or 4.5 pounds of pressure, and then it just shoots. That's it. There's nothing else going on with the trigger. And then when you want to go to reset it, you start to move your finger back, and it does travel just the tiniest bit, and you can hear and feel such a positive reset that your finger's moving, I don't know what it is, but it's got to be moving like 1/8 of an inch or something for the break and then the reset, and then it's just beautiful. It's absolutely insane. And when Kyle and I shot this for the first time, the thing that we were talking about is it makes sense. Like a lot of these other triggers, you have that pull up and that break and stuff. It's just the way that it's always been.
I feel way better with that.
But when you use this trigger, it just makes sense. You put your finger on the trigger when you're ready to fire, and when you apply pressure, it fires. There's no bringing up slack, there's no nothing. Don't put your finger on the trigger if you don't want to fire. Put your finger on the trigger, pull it, it fires. It's incredible. The break is so clean and so smooth, and you don't feel anything on the trigger. All you feel is applying a little bit of pressure, the shot goes off, move your finger, let up the pressure, and it resets. It's incredible. It's the coolest thing I've ever shot. As I mentioned, there's 2 different weights. The lighter one is sort of meant for more of like a hunting or a competitive shooting environment. That 4.5 is maybe for a little bit more of a duty rifle, something that's a little bit more multi-use, where you need a little bit more, because here's the thing, that 3-pound trigger actually feels like probably like a sub 2-pound trigger, because there's no other movement in it. Like as soon as you press it, it fires. So in terms of like competitive shooting and things like that, it's incredible. When you're in a critical thinking situation on duty or whatever, obviously you need a little bit more resistance, and I think that's where that 4.5 comes in the best. But like for competitive shooting and things like that, and just what I do, just like going to the range and having fun and shooting targets and things like that, the 3-pound is incredible. It's absolutely mind-blowing. I can't even put into words how good it is. So a little bit more on the technical side of these triggers. They're a hardened set screw screws that are installed through the bottom of the trigger housing, and they're finely tuned during assembly to mechanically eliminate any take-up and over-travel. In addition to the trigger tail is modified so that the tuning of the rear set screw removes any slop with the selector. On the manufacturing side, the trigger, hammer, and disconnect are ADM cut and then polished with brass wire to a micron finish in all critical contact areas for a frictionless engagement. And then finally, the trigger's reset is both short and positive to facilitate speed shooting during training or competition. Finish options are either black nitride or NP3. Black nitride is a heat treatment process that enhances corrosion resistance, improves lubricity, and leaves a fine black finish on the surface of the metal. NP3 is a plating of electroless nickel co-deposited with Teflon that provides remarkable lubricity and takes on the appearance of the base metal. So yeah, man, I can't say enough good things about this trigger. It is crisp, it is fast, and it just feels it feels like a trigger should feel. That's the only way I could put it. It's incredible. I just really wanted to give you an overview on this trigger, let you know that it exists, and let you know how dope, how crisp, how fast, how good this trigger is. And I don't want you to think that I'm comparing this to anything that's a slouch. Before this trigger was in this gun, in both of my guns, I actually have a Geisley trigger. I think that's how you pronounce it. But I have a single stage and a double stage Geisley trigger that was in both of these before. And I mean, to my eyes, those were the best of the best. They were the most expensive on the Brownells website at the time. And listen, man, these things completely blew those out of the water, genuinely. That's saying like so much, I know, but you just have to try these things out for yourself. So for this video, I just wanted to let you know the info, let you know about these guys. If you're looking for a new trigger, definitely pick one of these up. They actually sent a couple more of these out, so I'm gonna throw some of my other rifles. I'm gonna do a test with the 4.5 and the 3 and really try and get a little more in depth there. They also manufacture a complete lower that is just top notch along with these triggers. They sent one of those out, so I'll be doing a video on that as well. I genuinely hope that I get to keep working with these guys because listen, on top of making great products, they're great people. They take pride in what they do, and it's so refreshing to work with a company like that instead of, like I said, some of these cash grab companies that are just in it for a quick buck. So I'm incredibly stoked on Blackout Defense and their triggers. I hope you guys are as well. If you enjoyed this video, hit that thumbs up button. Go show them some love. Check out their website, and I look forward to making some more of these videos in the future. If you are new around here, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you next time on Greenlight Shooting. Thanks so much for watching.